cloud.
All right. With that, we'll call the January 17th Middleton Tourism Commission meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the November Tourism Commission meeting minutes. Do we have any questions? Had time to review them? Input? Yeah, I read through them before I came over here to look at the name.
This is Olson. I'll make the motion to approve the November 15th minutes.
A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Hotel updates. Angela, do you want to talk some updates?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of inquiries coming through for 2023. Citywide type stuff for medical educational.
Yes.
So that's exciting to see.
What invitation?
Medical cross country invitational at UW-Madison. It's in the middle of October.
Yeah.
So definitely seeing a lot of bookings for that. You probably are too, getting a lot of wedding inquiries. So we're at the point where dates are already, we're starting to turn people away. So that's a promising place to be at the beginning of the year. So.
Yeah.
And as far as my set of properties, our renovations are moving through with the additional gray hairs that brings. Renovations often run over time, but we should be back in the swing within 2 weeks for a projected end date of March 9th.
It's
So.
on time in
Yeah,
relation
right,
to renovations, right?
Well, it better be because I booked something March 14th. So.
Yeah.
We'll all be over there like
Right.
hammers and cake.
Yeah. Sticking in the closet. We don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can echo everything that Angela mentioned there. One thing I guess that comes to my mind is that for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic, we're confidently turning away business opportunities that are further down the road that may not be the most profitable or, that sort of situation. So up until probably 6 or 8 months ago, we were taking just about anything that we could get, and we're finally back to a position where we can be a little choosy. So goes back to what you're saying about having to turn people away due to already, existing business on the books, or it's an open set of dates that, it's just not the right fit for us. So it's nice to be back in that circumstance. So business travel still just trickles for us. I mean, we weren't a huge business travel hotel prior to the pandemic to begin with, but it's coming back. Our largest producer monthly now is probably 40 room nights, whereas 6 months ago it was 15. So percentage-wise, it's a pretty good increase, but it's still a much smaller portion of our market segmentation than what it had been previously. Yeah, things are looking up.
And on the note of, we had previously discussed some Destination Madison leads and the value of those. Jim and I have shared some frustration recently over leads from Destination Madison. It was basically just a pass through.
Yeah.
Right.
That wasn't an actual lead. It was
Yeah.
trying to make a connection with somebody that plans meetings for the federal government. That none of what they say is required to do business with them are things that hotels do. So it was really kind of a.
Yeah, it was just a very odd lead, like allow people to bring their own alcohol, give them the lowest rate, even if you already signed a contract. If there's a lower rate, they get the rate. There's no setup fees, there's no gratuities, it was just like, this should have hit the circular file.
Yeah, that was not worth pushing out to.
Have you got other leads from Destination Madison, or is this one of the first ones? Or
Oh no, we get them all the time. But that one was
good.
We've been in conversation about how valuable are they? Would we get them anyway? All of that type of thing.
Some are more
That
valuable
was
than this one.
especially eye raising. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I was walking in here, I had a lead for government business for 2024 in September or October as a good dates, and it's like it's not a lead. You know what I mean? Like it's just not.
Those government rate kind of challenging.
Well, especially with food costs right now. I mean, we're quite literally paying you to eat at our hotel with what the government will pay us for the food, so it's not worth it, right?
Right.
We've actually kicked around the idea of if we book an government program, have them order their own food in. It's not worth us to even produce it. We don't make a dime.
Yeah.
So why are we doing it? Let them try to order an $11 lunch from Panera Bread and see what they can get. you
That
know?
includes
Yeah.
gratuity.
Yeah.
And clean up and.
Yeah, so no, it's tough. I mean, I don't personally see all of the CDs that come across. I mean, I see them, I don't dig into them anymore because our remote sellers handle all of those that are out of state. But a lot more state association leads, which again, in my mind, is not a lead. These are my clients already. You're soliciting my clients. You are sending your people out to solicit in state.
And especially
being
where
paid
we
to
are.
solicit out of state.
Because all the associations come to
Yeah.
the Madison area
To the city
once a
government.
year.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
So,
was very sorry to see, there's a piece of business that MASC has been chasing for several years, and so it was boxing,
yes, USA Boxing. Yep, I've been on
and they
that.
chose Lafayette. I guess Madison was second.
Yeah.
But we just didn't quite make it, but that would have been a big piece of business.
Mhm.
I do look at them,
Yep.
and the ones that come through that I'm copied on.
Yep.
Just to see, how many room nights are you, and some of them I've noticed aren't a lot of room nights. If it's a lead for 40 room nights.
Yeah.
Hey, that's still great. Like, let's see what it is.
Sure.
But, I've been kind of watching those as well. And I did reach back out to them on that, asking what were the circumstances behind Madison losing this piece of business?
Sure,
Because
sure.
Everyone seemed kind of confident.
Yeah.
And
were they able to shed any light?
all they could really share was that I think it was Lafayette that won their business. Probably a combination of the room rate that they were able to offer, considering how many properties they have, and the location for the time of year and everything,
Sure.
what their board was looking at.
Sure.
Now, Madison consistently gets ranked like one of the best cities for sports related activities and events, which is kind of amazing because we don't have like a major stadium or anything like that. But I think Ironman and what's the other one, CrossFit, and all of those have really led to giving us a really good reputation. So keep tracking and keep up to date on that. And then at one point, I'd like us to go, having an offline conversation of like, where are we sitting?
Right.
With everything. And I can meet with you individually. We don't have to work out a time where it works for absolutely everybody. I can come to you.
The other side of the coin about them soliciting state associations is, there was some appreciation for that at the time, because most hotels are down to one salesperson for multiple hotels. All they're doing is canceling and rebooking business. I didn't have time at all to stay in front of any of my previous clients or to find out if they still have a job, who's there, what's going on. So there was value to what they were doing, but I think at this point now to be sending a state association RFP to me is probably
Well,
not the best use of their time.
And like you were saying, it's probably kind of a pass through. They were the contact for those organizations during the pandemic.
Yeah,
And so they're just part of a list.
Right.
And they're like, well, I've got it. I might as well pass it along. But definitely still keep track of everything for us.
certainly will.
Did anyone else have it? And did you want to have offer anything else or add anything else?
Good.
Okay.
No.
I will touch on my report real quick, and I'll give Laura's as well. So I met with Yuri about the outdoor center. He likes Middleton Nordic Center. He's perfectly happy with that.
Cool.
And he's also happy with the idea of doing a cross branding, like taking their logo and ours and trying to figure out how to do some sort of signage opportunity. I have no idea how that's going to work. Colors don't match. Like, even if it's like silver, right? It's like his logo has like a thing and ours is words. I have a feeling that maybe the Middleton part will be able to be used somehow, like Middleton and then Nordic Center in a different font. Somehow it's going to require probably some graphic designers. He has some people, we have some people. This is a long conversation, but the good news is that signage wouldn't even be able to go up until fall.
Sure.
Like he's hoping to be able to move his offices in the summer. Nothing will be open, obviously until like late fall when he wants to have a Nordic opener in November. And that's fun stuff that we can talk about later too, because he's really talking about event planning, having a Nordic opener and a closer and what he can do, because he helped organize some of the events that were happening in downtown Madison when we bring in snow.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So looking for sponsors to pay for that. It's incredibly expensive to bring in snow and remove it. and that's the part the city would be the most like, this needs to be planned. But it's really exciting. And I told him that to me is that's a tourism job.
Mhm.
And coming from South Dakota, you guys should see what Deadwood does in their downtown. I mean, they do the whole like horses dragging the skiers down, and people come from all over. And we wouldn't do that. That's not who we are. But we aren't a cowboy town. But having some fun events coming down, depending on how we do it. So we're in conversations about those kinds of things. And he will be at our February meeting to give his report, his first report. And marketing manager update, we're doing interviews today and tomorrow. So in all, we have 4 candidates. From December until now, what we did was we changed it so it's open till filled. So I can review and interview as we receive them rather than having to wait 3 weeks and yada yada. So I'll let you guys all know how that works out. State grant update. So as you all know, we received one of the state grants during the pandemic. It was a tourism marketing grant basically. And that report is due in like a week and a half. So I will be working on that all next week. I started it enough to know what I'm going to need to go and find. Unfortunately, it's for the last 18 months. Now, for the last 12 months, I was fully in charge of all marketing, so I have that. The previous 6 months is where I'm going to have to dig, but it's going to be fine because I probably have an invoice somewhere that I can look up anyway.
Yeah.
But and the report isn't crazy. So I'll send that off. And right now it looks like I think we're going to meet every single requirement to keep the money. I mean, the state doesn't want the money back, so it's not like they're being evil about it, right? The report is pretty standard. This is what you promised to do. Show us you did it. So I just need to go through and show them everything that we did. I'm not sure if I have to round up every single receipt, and that's the time consuming part, or if I'm allowed to use like the contracts and invoices. But anyway, I'm not worried about it. And so we'll get that all wrapped up, and then we'll actually be able to finally put a close on the 22 books. So we can officially start with 23. The visitor center update that Laura was going to give, she has been tracking as many of the visitors as possible. So when someone walks in, even if they don't sign the book, we ask them who they are, or at least where they're from, and we write it down. And so she, from April 4th, when we reopened after the pandemic, to December 31st, we were open approximately 177 days because obviously we're not open on weekends, city holidays, conferences when we both have to attend, and the time we were closed for the painting of the depot. She tracked, and she actually has it by time, but the total number of visitors we received was 572, which averaged to about 3.2 a day, which was actually more than I thought. And so next year, and some of the things we were doing this year to try to make ourselves look more open, especially since we were closed during fall, like 3 weeks during fall, we were either completely closed or we had scaffolding and stuff around. For the winter holidays, I mean, we really try to decorate and make it warm and homey. And we just took everything down outside, except the planters. But we had the wagon all done up, and we had lights out. And next year I want to put even more lights out. And because I mean, we're open till 4:30 or later sometimes, but it's dark at 3, and then people think you're closed. So I wanted to make it look like we're open, and while they're out shopping. And so we're hoping to do certain things to like bring people in. Some of the things I was looking at is to really lean into the fact that we're a trade depot. People walk in, they expect a certain amount of kitschiness, right? And we were thinking, like I could design totally fake train stubs for kids that they could sign their name on. You know, every time we do something in or outside, I'm trying to think of how can we make that an instant moment for somebody? We're looking at train whistles. Like, could I order some wooden train whistles and have them branded? You know, things that we wouldn't advertise because otherwise everybody would bring their schools here and we'd be out 2 minutes. Yeah. But when a family comes in with a couple of kids and give them something, stickers. We ordered Visit Middleton stickers for like tumblers and stuff. I liked one set, I hated the other. Luckily, they're crazy cheap. So we're gonna reorder those and then maybe get some like train stickers and stuff too to give out to kids. I'm trying to make it something where people will go, oh yeah, that's a really cute place to stop in. When my family's visiting, we'll go. Because let's face it, the days of the visitor center, the way it's set up now, are going, because people look up their information online. And right now, that is the only reason to come in here, that and to see historic depot. And so how can we make this more of an interactive experience? I'm thinking maybe at some point we budget some money and have like a fun video made of downtown history in the depot and have that playing on a small screen, things like that. So this is one of the reasons she's been tracking it though, because, you know, if nobody is coming in, then we need to rethink like what we're doing with the visitor center and our hours. And we did decide for winter, we're closing on Thursdays, and hopefully that'll give Laura a chance to make all of her hotel runs and all of her post office runs and deliveries and stuff on one day. Because right now, anytime she leaves, I'm trying to cover the front, or if I'm in a meeting, we have to close. And so the Mustard Museum is open on Thursdays. So
Did it show on there the 3.5, what days people are coming in and out?
So she didn't track days of the week. I asked her to for this year. She tracked times. So the majority of people come between 10 and 2, which I could have told you that. They come in usually asking for some, like a suggestion on where to eat.
40, yeah.
And then 2 to 4:30. So mornings are definitely the least number of people, which again, I could have told you that, because if you're going to come downtown, you're usually hitting one of the coffee shops or a place to shop. If we do get people like between 8:30 and 10, which in the entire year we got 86, vast majority of them are waiting for something to open. They're like, oh, that doesn't open till 9, or oh, that doesn't open till 10, and they're trying to fill time. So most of our visitors are definitely later in the day when they come into town. And then, so that's all we have for updates. And then as far as grant applications, because Kevin wasn't able to join us, is that you or me? I think it's you. That's Kevin. So, my niece, sorry. She's 13 and got a phone. So I get memes and stickers all the time. So the only grant application we can vote on right now is Blockfest. Now, generally in the past, so this is what I was talking about before, sponsorships were something that I think the director was allowed to grant at her discretion without having to go through the whole voting process. And we can decide, there are 4 of you, you can decide right now if you want to grant me that. But I will say something like Track Coaches Association, who was applying for sponsorship, because of the amount that they were applying for, I asked them to submit it as a grant. But Bachfest, I still see as a sponsorship. You know, Han and Hansel, that's still a sponsorship. Because especially like Bachfest and Han and Hansel, mostly what we're doing is getting our logo on something. And that to me is what a true sponsorship is. You're paying a certain amount and then you have cross branding. And so if you guys would like to, I don't even know if you have to vote, because I do think that's how Julie operated before. And if you're okay with continuing that, then I won't even have to bring things like Bachfest before.
Sure. When we had the Wisconsin Track Coast, it did it one way, and there was a little, we had to find a way for them.
That's what it
fit
was.
in.
So it started with the grant application process, and then they had ran that through the end of how many years of eligibility.
More than
Right.
eligible.
Right,
years,
so then
yeah.
after eligibility had expired, that's when Julie found a way kind of to help them stay in Middleton, because it's the money is an integral part
Right.
of coming
Yeah.
here.
We
They could save money by going elsewhere.
we kept that in the new grant criteria.
Yep.
So the tourism marketing development grant is for new business up to 3 years, and then you're bumped over to destination partnership.
That makes sense, yeah.
And the destination partnership covers grants, sponsorships, meeting planner incentives. And so to me, the Track Coaches Association is still a grant because of what they're asking for and how much.
Okay.
And because of what kind of thing it is. We're not getting any exchange here. They're not, you know, they might put our logo on something, but it's not like Bachfest where our logo will be on all of their marketing material in the mug. Like it's a cross branding opportunity.
Yeah.
This to me is definitely a grant. And so that's how, and there's no limit to eligibility on destination partnership grants. You can apply for them for 20 years. It's up to you guys on whether or not you want to continue to support any event or meeting. But that's why
I just missed something there. But there's the Destination Partnership Grant is what they have been getting this last
Yes.
couple of years, and they can get that for.
There's no limitation
But
on
it's
that.
different from Bachfest,
Yes,
because
So-
what is Bachfest getting?
Bachfest is getting Destination Partnership sponsorship.
Sponsor.
So the money is coming from the same bucket, and
Oh.
I know it sounds a little confusing, but there are two reasons to it. One, the city isn't going to let me have multiple account numbers for something that kind of falls under the same thing.
Okay, well, I understand. that.
Yeah, and we
Sponsorship
split it out.
and the grant.
Yeah.
And there's no way that the track coach could do a sponsorship, really.
Well, no, because there isn't an like this Capital Flight, they asked us for a sponsorship, they would have put our logo on a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, at the time, we were pretty much out of money and the sponsorship level they were asking was too high. But that would have been a sponsorship because they were gonna put our logo on like koozies or something as an exchange for support. But this is not an exchange for support. This is a grant. This is just like any other meeting planner or convention coming in, asking for a grant in order to help support their business being held in Middleton.
And it's not that sponsorships aren't capped at 5,000.
Sponsorships don't really have a cap,
Right. But grants,
but generally I haven't seen one more than $1,500
They're gonna be smaller than a grant.
Yeah.
price.
because you're basically just giving a little money so that your logo's on something. Like Bachfest is 1,000, Hunt and Hustle's 1,500, Art Walk was 1,500. I don't think I've ever seen a sponsorship higher than 1,500.
okay.
Oh, well, except for Circle Wisconsin, which is considered a sponsorship.
Oh, that, okay.
But that's more of a membership thing and it's super confusing and that's free grant.
Okay.
But
Like all things motor coach, it's confusing.
yes, it's very, but that's how it all shapes out. So if
Okay.
you guys are okay with me granting sponsorships without voting going forward, then that's what I'm going to do. And the criteria I'm following is a sponsorship is an exchange of a marketing cross brand.
Up to $1,500, or do you think that we should just leave you to your discretion is what you're?
Well, if you want to vote on it, we can vote on a cap. I can tell you that if anything is more than 3,000, I probably ask them to apply for a grant.
Oh, okay.
Because to me, then you're venturing into, I mean, what really costs 3,000 to put your name, your logo on something? You're asking for more money than what that's going to cost. Like, I don't even think Kevin is asking for enough money for what it costs to produce those mugs. He could technically ask for more than that. But
I am completely in favor of allowing Mari her own discretion for sponsorships. I think, and I think you're right. When I saw the Bachfest one, I was like, yes. I mean, I think we're all in
Right.
agreement. And rather than having to kind of stop your flow of your workday of getting things done for,
Yep.
you know, requests like this that are mostly, in my mind, sponsorships are showing our support for community events. And like you said, and it's helping us because it's showing that we're supporting them. I'm happy to let you make those decisions.
okay.
Yes.
Until you screw up. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I promise that if I'm ever nervous about something, I'll just reach out though. Because
I
that's
know you would.
Yeah. Association. I was like, ooh, $5,000. No, I'm not gonna just say yes to that one,
So
even though
is-
it's a great piece of business.
that isn't actually an agenda item of how we want you to handle sponsorships. So maybe we put that on the next agenda and say, and then we can vote on it so that it's.
Do we have to
Yes.
wait for an agenda item to vote
Well,
on
I'm just
something?
saying, I'm just asking, right now we have grant applications. We don't have anything here that says how to handle sponsorships going forward.
Okay.
That's would be and I'm more cautious than most people, so I could be convinced otherwise if everyone thinks differently too.
Are we changing, sorry, are we
They're
changing
not changing.
a current process? I don't think we're changing a current process. I think this is more, and I could be wrong, Mari saying,
And I can
hey,
add
Yeah.
that into our minutes too, that the commission just reaffirmed,
Okay.
that the director has, okay.
Okay.
And my
Yeah,
only concern about this
No, you're good.
is if we had a person who wasn't as cautious as you, Mari, then where's the
Oh.
line? What is that limit? What are the parameters that someone should operate under before bringing it to?
No, that makes sense. We could add that to, next week. We could say, vote on the sponsorship cap.
There's
Yeah,
There's always the thing, if something happens and then somebody's an acting director for a while, they wouldn't, and you wouldn't, like you were,
Yeah,
for any reason,
nope, that's good.
you had a cruise with no internet for 2 months.
I mean, I would really love to have no parameters in my job.
Okay, so I'll add that. So right now, what it is that the commission reaffirms the director has discretion to grant destination partnership sponsorships, and we will vote next meeting on what the cap for that is.
sure.
Good.
I can't imagine a situation where, because again, to me, when you're talking about how much something costs, like I think we could probably cap it at like 3,000 or 3,500 and be perfectly fine. Because even at that point, if someone said it's going to cost you $3,500 to have your logo on our posters, I'd be like, I want to know how much those posters cost. Because I just ordered some, and I
Just
know.
keep in mind.
I know things.
Those are fine posters.
That was a really good point, though, Angela.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, perfect. Moving on.
Rockfest?
So let's go ahead and vote on Bachfest then, just so that we have it tied up.
Olson, I'll make, I see under grant, it does say sponsorship on
Yeah,
there, even though it's
Bachfest
under grant
sponsorship,
and
yep.
sponsorship applications, I wasn't looking at it. I'll make a motion to approve the Bachfest sponsorship request of $1,000.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. $1,000 for Bachfest is approved.
Okay, so we need to set a meeting to vote on these others. And it'll be a Zoom meeting. Does anyone have any questions though right now that they'd like me to clear up before that meeting so that we can expedite that meeting? I sent the new grant description for the Nordic Championships because Kathy is the one who realized that it had a totally
Hockey,
different,
yeah,
description.
Awesome.
I was like, whoops. Brandon was nice enough to resend that to me. And so if anybody has any questions whatsoever.
I do have a question.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm not questioning it. I just have a question. So the Nordic, the Wisconsin Nordic Ski League, the request is for a tent, correct?
Yes, it'll be, the funding is requested for installing a temporary heated tent and also toward event readiness. So I don't know if that's going to be like cleaning up the area or moving some snow around.
Oh, yeah, they don't have snow.
I was under the impression that the grant that we provided was to get, I thought they already had a tent and a floor and that it was heated.
Well, it's coming. So that's going to be the permanent structure.
Okay.
From what I understand, this is a much smaller and it's temporary.
It's an
Okay.
event specific one for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Short term coming around the corner event, right?
yeah. I could ask him if it's rented or if he's buying it for $1,500.
I would
I
assume
think
it's
that's.
rental.
He's renting.
Can we
He's
not
renting it,
know when IHG get this room block? So does that clear us as far as the council
For the
for Nordic?
you're right. It's Holiday Inn.
Right,
There
we'll
are
go
4
to
of you. We can
Right.
vote on this. We can vote on the Nordic Championship because he ended up with his room block at Holiday Inn. So great. Ask questions, everybody. Let's get this voted on.
I didn't have any questions.
That was the only question I had. I was just confused because I was like, oh, I thought.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Them a
The
bunch
phase
of
one
money for a
trailhead.
tent.
The phase 1 trailhead is for basically like a permanent tent structure, but that won't be going up for many, many months.
Got it.
So this is just for renting one for this event.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, surely 1,500 is a fraction of what it's gonna cost him to get a heated tent out there. He's
Well, I
probably
can tell
looking at
you-
$6,000-7,000.
The heaters probably cost more than that
Yeah.
because they rented heaters for Strong Gas.
Yeah.
So,
And if they're putting a floor down, the floor that we got a quote, an estimate for, when we were gonna do an event at the park here was like 35,000 to rent
Holy smokes.
Whoa,
I doubt he's putting a floor down. I bet they're packing the snow.
if you walk out.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Snow
I'm
starting to
shocked.
drop.
That's why we ended up moving it. We were like, what? People are walking on it. They're
Yeah.
schlepping mud on, like, it's a,
35,000, everybody's wearing boots.
For $35,000, we could
pour a
build you
whole
a
house
permanent
with-
structure
Right.
somewhere.
You certainly could.
anyway.
No,
Okay,
I
so
think
do
the
we
amount
wanna
of
vote?
money.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Would like to make.
I would
Okay.
move to approve this.
You have a second?
Ms. Wilson, I'll second Angela's motion to approve.
All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, so track coaches is the one that we have to make an emergency meeting about
Yeah.
because it is February, like 4th and 5th.
Around the corner. yeah.
I do have a question about that. when we-
Perfect, we're there.
Oh,
Go ask your question. We're moving along, Angela, I'm trying to get everybody out of here.
they don't have the rooms blocked for that yet?
Well,
Or they're
that's
already-
right. No, they're in
already-
Marriott.
but the room disparity year over year is concerning to me.
And actually, Jim can help answer questions on this because he's been hosting it for so long.
Yeah, generally they're up at the 400 mark there. Last year, coming out of the pandemic, we had a lot of teachers. A lot of these track teachers or track coaches are also teachers.
Mhm.
And they were not allowed by their school districts to attend in-person events for 2022.
Okay, so
So attendance was down in 22.
booking's not finished for 2023 work.
Well, this booking was probably 2 weeks ago that gave you
Yeah.
these numbers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm sure it's up at least some.
It is. In fact, the block is full on the 2nd. We've added more rooms and he just submitted his rooming list for the peak night on the 3rd. So
Awesome.
we'll be up around the 400 mark.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Yeah, their attendance is back. They have Jackie Joyner-Kersey coming. as
Are
a
you
keynote
kidding me?
speaker.
Wow.
Yeah, super cool.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why
Okay,
don't we
well,
know these things?
I got to
Speaker
meet Luke
fees.
Fickle today. too.
speaker fees,
Awesome.
$18,000. And this is what I'm suggesting, because our new grant criteria, we do not pay for food, beverage, merch, or facility fees. And this sponsorship has gone toward their banquet. And so I would suggest that we could say, we will grant you X number of dollars, whatever you decide, and it could go toward copies, supplies, speaker fees, or awards, because those would all fall within the parameters of what our grants can cover. And we'd just be like, whatever it is, because if he has a sponsor for his speaker, I wanted to make sure that I left it open, that this money could be applied to these other things.
That would be a good speaker to sponsor.
Right?
Mhm.
Somebody's name on that. So that, I just wanted to let you know, like, if you wanted to approve a certain amount, like, they're asking for 5,000, if you want to approve whatever. What I'll say in my letter, though, is that this money needs to go toward any of these things. And then in their post-event, they just have to tell us what it did go toward, and then they have to give us the final count as well. I don't think he's done a post-event, at least not in a very long time. I'm not gonna find one in our records. But I asked him about it, and he seemed fine. So yes.
Do we, okay, we gotta vote on that yet, right? No, we're not tonight, though.
Yeah,
Not
we
today.
can't keep track.
The square and round dance thing, this is something new that's coming here?
They've been here
area.
before.
Oh, they skip you.
Yeah, so usually about every 4 to 5 years or so, we'll have an opportunity to bid on their annual convention.
And and they're like 3 days, 4 days, something.
They'll be here the entire weekend. They move in like Wednesday, Thursday, and then out on Sunday.
To try to keep them entertained at your hotels, or do you let them like?
I mean,
They have off times.
Yeah,
because
they
I
really
would-
don't.
I think it would be kind of a fun thing to see, come downtown and have some people doing the
Yeah.
calling from the new stage.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And they have sections too that are open to the public,
Yeah.
like certain presentations that spectators are allowed to attend for free. And then,
Bring your dosey skirt.
Right,
and then.
literally.
what
No,
else?
the group is on their own for essentially all meals too. So I mean, I know it does impact most of Greenway Station. They're all over the place. You see them.
Your trolley.
They stand out with their,
Yeah, get a
their,
trolley.
with their
bring it
gear
down.
that they're wearing.
calling from that stage would be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
That would be cool. That would be super cool.
Yeah, in 2019, they had 678 dancers. in
Yeah.
Middleton. That's not including staff. And so, and we can wait until February to vote on
Yeah, we got-
that. The Track Coaches Association is the only thing that I'll send out an email and just basically be like, tell me what times don't work for you.
Oh.
And then we'll just find 15 minutes where everybody can log on and,
Hammer these out.
yeah.
All right.
And I'll reach out to Jose and ask him if he has any questions concerning it before the meeting too, so that it can go a little faster. But Elizabeth actually reached out to me last week and said, just so you know, Jose can't make it on Tuesday, don't tell him. And so I just left him on all the emails.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's all
So we
we've
just need
got.
a motion to adjourn, I think?
Oh, do we have to say actually defer these till the next meeting? Do we have? to-
I've already deferred. Do we have to make a motion to defer?
I'll make, well, just for the record, I'll make a motion to defer the Wisconsin Track Coaches and Wisconsin Square Round Dance Conventions until our next meeting.
Miller seconds.
Aye.
I,
Deferred. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, Kate, so second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? We are adjourned.
Aye.
Okay, let me. Oh, look at that,
Cheers,
guys.
pending restart.
It always.
so does it.
I'm always so scared to do anything like that on those.